Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I know it's Saturday, it's 10 a.m. You expected a live stream. I'm sorry. I'm still alive if it's any consolation. And I'm going to play some video of something I wanted to make you aware of, and that is the changes in the studio. And frankly, I was going to be busy at 10 o'clock this Saturday morning, so I decided to go ahead and film this in advance and put together a little video, so here you go. I hope you enjoy it. And basically, it's covering what's going on in the studio, the equipment room, and what's going on with my solar, so it kind of qualifies as a weekly catch-up video, but I think you'll get the hint. And then don't forget, after this video is over at 11 p.m. Central Time, over on Discord, we join up at the after party. I am going to be there from 11 until noon. So you'll get to see me for at least 1 hour, and I'll get your response on how the video went and that kind of thing. But anyway, let's get the video going right now. All right, so Unky Joe is going handheld. You know it's dangerous when I do anything handheld. Hey, look, there's a new tank I set up. See how cloudy that is? That's good cloudy. That means that's beneficial bacteria. And you can see right now I'm using it as a storage tank for my plants. But my other 3 aquariums, they're doing really well. See the little fish up there all trying to mate with the females that I have, eager little beavers. There's one tank that is a, yeah, we'll go into detail because this video is not about my fish tanks. This video is about my server room and the changes I've had to make because I got some big changes in solar coming up. So right now I got a hot mess, but as you can see, hey, look. I've cleared. Look at that filthy floor, man. Where is my maid? Anyway, yeah, it's a hot mess. There's cables. There's fiber optic cables intermingling with, 10 base T cable. We just can't have that. We can't have that kind of stuff. As you can see, there's a lot of cleanup I've got to do in here. What I decided to do was move. The rack used to be right there, and now the rack is this side of the door, and I think, other than the fact, and keep in mind this room is probably 6 by 6. It's not very big. But there are my lines, my refrigerant lines going out to my unit outside for my HVAC. There's my drain line. I'm going to have to, I've got to put a better drain line in, but for now it's working. There's a bunch of cables I need to clean up that I'm no longer using, like these up here hanging from the ceiling and whatnot. And this rack eventually needs to go up against this wall. And then my newest addition is this little 4U rack that I bought for the wall. And it's a place to bring all my cables into for my wired networking. All my cameras. And you can see I've got quite a few less connections. There's my 10 gig switch, my 24 port gigabit switch, and then the Netgear PoE switch. And a patch panel, and then there's an AdTran unit up there. That's for my fiber connection from my internet provider into the house. And yeah, I have really kind of streamlined the cables coming into this room, needing to feed my whole house, and that's because, not indirectly, because of their wonderful Wi-Fi products that I'm using, these folks. And I've replaced most of the wired connections with reliable, rock-solid, wireless connections. They're now to the point where they just work so well that, things like my Roku and that kind of thing, I just put them on wireless. It makes my life a whole lot easier. So I need to clean up power cables. I've got to decommission some servers. I want to get the cables all nice and neat. Get the rack pushed up against this wall over here. This little box I forgot to take out. It's an old converter that would convert video and audio into a television signal that then you could then transmit over, coax cable to your TVs in the house. I know, old school. And then when this room was a home theater, these were the speaker connections. So I've got to do something with that. And you can see I just got a bunch of stuff I need to clean up, and then what's going to happen to this room is I'm going to share its occupancy Also, you can see I've moved some stuff around. This is the Medicurb server, is now running full. It's a full-time server now. This is Prometheus, and then there are my lab units down there, the 620, 720, and the two 710s. But ultimately, once I get this room organized, then I will have room over here on this wall for two racks, well, for two shelving units, and they will be for battery storage. And so I'll be storing all my batteries on this shelf, my 24-volt batteries, my 48-volt batteries, on these two shelving units. So each shelving unit is, I think, 6 shelves high. It'll hold a total of 600 pounds. So I'm good on the shelving units. And then over here, this wall will have all of my inverters, my sub panel for my electrical, my AC electrical, my DC connections. They'll all be coming up here, and this whole wall, well, this side of the wall anyway, will be dedicated to that. And I might have room for one more battery shelf over here. We'll just have to see how it goes, because this battery shelf is going to run into this one, so it's probably not very feasible. But yeah, and each one of the new batteries I'll be getting, for example, the 48-volt batteries that I'll be switching to, because I'm going to have to take this to a 48-volt system. I think they weigh 100 pounds apiece. So I would be able to get 6 of those on one of these racks, so a total of 12 batteries, which would give me, let's see, each one is 5 kilowatt hours, so 5 times 6, about 60 kilowatt hours, something like that, 600 kilowatt, I don't know, I'd have to do the math. But anyway, that's, you know, it's, as usual, my office is a work in progress. You know, I've got grand plans, so I'm going to get to work on that room. I have spinning rust in that unit there in Prometheus, and I have spinning rust here. And I don't like to move equipment when they got hard drives spinning. So I need to plan this when I can take this. I can go ahead and organize the cables behind the rack without taking the rack down. And then I need to plan to take the rack down and move it back into place, and then finish up what I do in this room. So it's a task. So all of this stuff will be then moving into the server closet, and will be mounted on the wall in there. So yeah, wish me luck, right? And then back to my lovely aquariums. I still have one tank right here. There's another 40-gallon tank. Right now it's used for oh wow, look at my plant life going crazy. Right now it's just used as a storage tank for all my sponge filters. So when I want to create a new tank, I just soak the new sponge filter in there, let it get covered with bacteria and whatnot. I think I got a snail living in there. If you look real close, yeah, there's a lovely little snail. And then I can start up a new tank with, you know, with that, with the seeded water, as they say. This is one of my planted tanks. Man, look at the plant life in there. It's just gone viral. And I got some fishies in there breeding. And this is my gravel tank. I'm experimenting with gravel. I'm not real fond of this tank, but it's a work in progress. And then this is my white sand tank with real plants in it. I only use real plants now. And then this is my black diamond sand aquarium. And all of these have this absorbent stuff. This safety absorb is called. I don't know if you can see you can probably see it better on the side here. You can see the safety absorb with red. That's iron. What is it that I added? I don't even know if I have the container it came in anymore. I do here somewhere. Anyway, you add iron to the soil, and that gives the plants the ability to tap into that and grow. And that's how I did this tank down here, and that's how I'm doing this tank up here. So this is one experiment, this is another experiment, and then this is a dirted tank. These have plenums, and that one doesn't. Alright, so I've made some progress. Take you through my messy studio / office / I can't wait to get that Lenovo gear back up and running, but as you can see, I got some stuff there to deal with. So let's go back into the server room, and you'll see that, yeah, I've made some changes. So, I hate wasted space, and frankly, the space above this rack is dead because I didn't have anything up here, and I never had a board strong enough to support. What I want to do is put the Synology NASs up here, and I want to turn them, instead of facing this way, I want them to face this wall. It's not that often I need to get in here, and there will be space, even though there will be a battery rack here. It only comes out about 21 inches, so I don't know. I think it's 21 inches wide. Let me take a measurement. So the racks I'm going to do are 21 inches wide, so I need a total of like 43 inches right here across this wall. 43 comes to about right, right here, and then so that'll be good. And then they only stick out about 12 inches, so they're only going to be coming out to about right here, right? So I still should have room right here to get to the rack and get to the rack of switches up here. And then the other thing I did, this is a client's NAS that backs up here to the house. The other thing I did was I found a piece of this is like the back that goes on a picture frame, for a large poster or whatever, and I just cut that to fit. And I'm going to put that up there and then put this NAS up here so it's out of the way and not taking up, frankly, valuable real estate I need in the rack. That's why I want to get the Synology NAS up here. And then it gives me more room for expansion on the rack. And I'm not really utilizing that shelf, and it's kind of bowing because it's small. But the next thing I've got to deal with is this rat's nest of cables back here. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All these servers have IPMI connections, plus they have most of them have four 1 gig connections and probably a couple of 10 gig SFP connections. So I've got to run, I've already got some SFP cables run, but I got to make sure my other ones are long enough. So what I'm going to do next, without taking the rack down, is I'm going to get in here and start labeling. You see I started labeling some of these cables as to what machine they should go to. I'm going to do that again because now we're going to get into the organization phase of these cables. So I want to know where they all go. That way when I go to hook them up to my switches, I'll know what to label the ports on the switches, what's connected where. You follow me? I like to be organized. I like to know when I come in here and unplug number 14 what it goes to. You know what I'm saying? So take the time and do your diligence. And you see it's a little warm in here today, 77. Low got to 76, max got to 79, but that's about what this room runs at. So I've got the plywood, a nice thick piece of plywood up here, and I think it's 5/8. And now I've got room to move the Synology NASs up here. I think what I'm going to do is this is my router, PFSense firewall router. I'm going to put that up here as well on top of the switch. And then Metacurve, the machine which is directly below it, the 2UKs, is going to run PFSense as a virtual machine. So I've got to allow for the cabling on that as well. I want to run another network cable, internet cable, I should say. And then I got to clean up this mess of wires over here.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So, my studio is, as you can see, we're slowly but surely whittling down stuff that does not need to be in this studio anymore. I've made room and I've got my tanks set up, and yeah, keep in mind these tanks are a work in progress, and I'm just going to kind of use these tanks as infill material. It's Unky Joe's Playhouse. It could be today, it could be about tech videos. Tomorrow I could be talking about my aquariums, and this is one of my experimental aquariums. It's a 40-gallon breeder tank, and I'm using a combination of it's baked clay. Basically it's absorbent, the kind of stuff you throw down if you have an oil spill or that kind of thing. It's baked clay, And it has benefits for an aquarium I'm not going to go into. But anyway, that's underneath down here on the substrate. You can see it there. That's what the roots are going to grow into. And then I've filled that cat litter, that substrate, that baked clay, with a bunch of supplemental, iron and stuff like that for the plants. And then you cap that with a layer of sand, and this is play sand. That's why it kind of has a yellowishy, orangey color. And you see, this is even after a couple of weeks now. The water is still cloudy, and I'm having issues. I've got some plants set up in there. This is kind of a test, mind you, and they're doing well. And this substrate will do well. I just don't know that I like it. This tank over here is my 40-gallon breeder. I bought a couple of these. These are the tanks that that I'm going to try my hand aquascaping. In fact, I've already started on this one. And as you can see, this has got the same substrate in it, that baked clay. And then over that is a cap layer of diamond. The brand is Black Diamond Blasting Sand. And this is like a black sand made for sandblasting applications, and it's got really, it's really kind of a fine grain of sand. I'll stir some up for you and show you what I'm talking about. So it's very, you see, it's very light sand. This is mulm. This is fish waste and whatnot. That's at the bottom of the tank. The problem is this tank and this tank, as you can see, they don't want to stay clear. And, I'm working on it. I got a hang on back filter on it, kind of assisting with the filtration, just trying some experimental stuff. But the plants are doing great. The fish are healthy. You can see they're all swimming around. Same way with these 20-gallon planted tanks down here. This is another baked clay with pool sand as a substrate. It's doing well. This one's using root tabs. This one's using this stuff. What did I put in this? Yeah, fluorite base. So this one is the clay, baked clay base with this stuff, the fluorine based laterite. It adds, it's a powder. I used a whole thing of it in there to add iron to the soil, the substrate, so the plants will have stuff to grow into and have vitamins and minerals. And then the other one that I made is using this stuff from Father Fish, if you know who he is. So here's his supplemental additive. That's what's in this tank. And just trying some different things, trying some experiments to see what works. So anyway, I've started going through this rack over here and getting rid of shit I just don't need anymore. Remember, I'm downsizing, folks. And my production table, as you can see, is full of stuff that I'm going through to see what I need to keep and what I don't. And then this is where my camera normally sits, back here, where I do my filming for my other desk. I've got to go through these units and get rid of stuff that I'm not using anymore, find a new home for it. And then there's the equipment room. And keep in mind, it's a work in progress, but I have managed to clear stuff out, and I'll explain to you how we're going to have things set up in here. So I've got my Synology. This is a backup Synology NAS for one of my clients. I went ahead and hung all my switches on the wall, the side wall. That line set right there is for the heat pump in this room. And then there's the drain pipe. But anyway, I mounted the switches and the patch panel to the wall. Just works out better for me. This is where all the cables come into the building anyway. So it helps me to keep it neater. And I've still got a little bit of work to do on the cables. But I have to get them all put in place before I can tie them all back. But I've already started tying some of those back. And I've got everything color coded. There's my PFSense router. This is a Netgear PoE switch, enterprise level. Then I've got a Unify 24 port non-PoE. Then I have a Unify switch 16, a 10 gig SFP / 10 base T switch. Thank you, Sasha Lopez, for that generous donation. And then over here is, my power distribution is right there. It's just a power strip running down the side. and then I've got a UPS here, and then there's a cord that comes in here. This cord comes from that green cord, and going into the yellow cord goes to my solar array, and that powers my entire rack. And then I've got some cables going up that need to be, prettied up and that kind of thing. My rack is now just inside the door, and I've really reduced the contents of the rack and moved some of the stuff like the Synology and AS is both on the top. There's my DS1621 and my FS1018, and I've cut a piece of wood to fit up here, so I can just set it on top of the rack here, and then I've got room for more servers. This is my MediCurb server, which is up and running, some Docker containers. This is Prometheus, which is my main rig, which hosts all my Plex, MB, my surveillance software runs on this unit. And then I got a 620 Dell, I got a 720 Dell, and a couple of 710s down there. And here is the other side of the wall. Now, what's going to happen over here, this wall is going to house all of my solar charge controllers, my, everything, my new inverter. I'm going to have a sub panel over here in this corner, and another panel down here, and then this wall here. Initially, I bought these racks on impulse before I thought things through. And initially, I was going to put my 24-volt batteries on these racks. It can hold up to like 600 pounds, and each battery weighs 50 pounds. So I'd only have 300 pounds worth of batteries on 6 shelves. But I got to thinking of it. If I'm going to go to all this trouble to wire this room and get it all ready, I might as well just go ahead and make the plunge. Take the plunge and start buying my 48-volt batteries. But they're 48-volt batteries, and they have double the capacity of the 24-volt battery. And I'll just stack them 5 high here. They'll come out to right about where this sits right here, this line. So from the wall to there is where they will come out to. So I should have plenty of room to put them in there. The other thing I want to talk about real quick in this video is the fact that I've got my grow watt back on the bench. Because it comes in handy when I got 2 new Redodo batteries over the Christmas, over Thanksgiving on a Black Friday sale. I couldn't pass them up. I got each one of these batteries for under $600. And what I'm doing is, here's the other one. So I'm capacity testing them. When you get new batteries, you always want to make sure you get what you pay for. These claim to be 100 amp hour batteries. I want to make sure they're going to give me 100 amp hours. So I hook them up to this unit, to the grow watt, which then charges the battery at 30 amps. Otherwise, I'd have to charge these batteries at 5 or 10 amps, and it would take a day to charge up one of these batteries. So I use this unit to charge the batteries because it's a 30 amp charger. I can do up to 40 amps, but I only do 30 amps. And that charges this battery up in no time. And then I plug certain servers on my telco rack over here. I have Zeus, and I have this other no-name server over here. And I can hook them both up, and I can run AI art generation on them, or just Chat GPT or something like that. Put them under heavy load, and that then load tests this battery using the grow watt. This little device, this little chingadero, which monitors all the power coming in and out of the battery, so I can get an accurate measurement of it and make sure that they're testing fine. And so now I just need to capacity test this cell, and then I'll be happy. Now the Victron setup has been working great, but it is going to be moved off of this wall. It is going to go into that room back there alongside of the EG4 unit that I've ordered that won't be here till after the first of the year. And pardon the camera dimming there, but I've got a bright window right next to this wall. And then my stack of batteries here, that the 2 24-volt battery banks I built, and then 2 more 24-volt Redodo batteries underneath them. Redodo does not support this channel in any way, shape, or form. They have not given me any discounts or Any kickbacks on the battery, they've never reached out to me, but you want a solid battery, buy a Redodo, man. Do your own work online, do the research, but you'll find that these are very well made batteries. I've ripped a couple of these apart and built my own batteries out of them, and I can tell you this, they're very well built. They use grade A cells. I almost bought a 48 volt battery from them, but it was a little too, it didn't have all the features I wanted. So Redodo, get all the features I want in that 48 volt battery at that price point, and I will buy it from you. I hated going to a different brand, but this other brand I went to comes pretty highly recommended as well. So, but anyway, this is the status of Unky Joe's Playhouse. So this gives you kind of an idea why I haven't had time to put into videos lately. Plus work.
4 to 6 days later.
All right, so it's been a while, and as you can see, wow, we're back where we started from. Yeah, that's the grow watt back on the wall, because this makes a good place to test batteries when they come in, and to test new devices, and to play around with something that's not mission critical. Now, I say it's not mission critical, but it is running my desktop here. So my PC down there, these 3 monitors, everything you see here is run down into a UPS from this grow watt, which has a single, right now, 24 volt battery running everything. So I don't even have it feeding any solar to it. It's just running off a battery and the grid right now, because as you can see, I've got quite a bit of stuff here. I've got a new seating area for my aquariums. As you can see, the 2 on the top are still being cycled. That's why they're cloudy. Don't worry, they'll clear up. I'm not going to go into the fish I got in them, but the bottom 3 tanks have all been cycled. They're good to go, and they're supporting a wide variety of fish. There's my workbench. I got work in progress. You can see I got some tools spread out here. I got some wire. I've got some more stuff over here. You can always tell it's getting serious when I got tools out. Here's the other battery I bought during the Black Friday, after Thanksgiving Black Friday sale. And, just my workbench in general. So, the big changes have been, well, one, what the hell's in this box? That box weighs 120 pounds. It took 2 of us in that little cart to get in the house. It was a pain. There's a projector I need to throw away. So, yeah, my workbench right now is kind of in shambles. But I got this nice little seating area here. This chair is going to go back into the living room after Christmas is over and be replaced by this brown, ugly recliner that we'll put a nice cloth or something on it. But basically, it's so I can sit here and kind of enjoy my handiwork on my fish tanks. And so I got this rack. Originally, I was going to store batteries on this rack, but then I had a change of heart and a change of plan. So the rack made a nice little place to put plants and landscaping stuff, or aquascaping stuff, while I'm waiting to put it in the tank. And it just kind of gives a nice little break or separation to the room. So I'm thinking I've got another one of those. Once this chair comes out of the corner, I can put another one of these racks right here, and it can hold more plants and doodads and whatnot. Just trying to pretty up the room. The biggest changes are in here, in the server room. And as you can see, we've got most of the cables tied off out of our way now. And as you can see, this wall is now covered with plywood. Got everything marked out. I've got my Redodo 26 volt or 28 volt, 24 volt system. I've got 2 batteries there, plus 2 batteries on the top. I moved all my Victron gear in here and started wiring it up. Because this is where my batteries and my solar generation, and this will be my panel. This will be my feeder panel coming over. There will be a 100 amp cable, a 2 watt aluminum service entrance cable coming up here. That'll serve a 40 amp breaker to this Victron, and there will be another 40 amp breaker that supports the EG4 that I've got coming in after the first of the year. So my charge controllers got mounted, my Serbo GX. I'm staying with a 24 volt system. I'm going to run both. This one will only do 120 volts, and it'll only do 24 volt battery, but it's got a 70 amp charger in it. So I have to run at least a 40 or 50 amp breaker to this unit in order for it to charge the batteries at its full charge rate. But be that here nor there. And the EG4 requires a 40 amp breaker with number 8 wire feeding to it. So that's what we're going to do. So this will be the 100 amp service comes in. So I'll have two 40 amp breakers here to support these inverters. And then I'll have a couple of additional 20 amp breakers here and some plugs on the bottom just for superfluous stuff that needs to only run off the grid. In other words, if I needed power in here only on the grid, I could dedicate a couple of circuits to that, just, thinking ahead. And then this is the feeder panel. So power will then come out of this multi-plus here and this EG4 here, and it will come around into this panel, and this panel will then feed the critical loads in the house. So the feeder will come in here at the top. That's where the line 1, line 2, and neutral go, and I'll put a ground bar in here. And then this will feed my circuits over on the other side of the house, my critical loads. Now, most of my circuits are only 15 amp. So I've only got one 15 amp breaker here. I can't put a 20 amp breaker on a number 14 wire. It's got to be 12 wire or higher. So I've got to go with these 15 amp breakers because I don't want to overload the wire. So I'll end up putting extension cables from the wire in my other panel over to here, and then this will serve as the panel for my critical loads to be run on solar and battery and the grid when solar and battery are not available. And then over here, as you saw earlier, I've got all my cables organized for my patch panel. Yep. And there's my rack right here. So, it's not really cramped for space. This unit, I'm envisioning, will move down over here, and then I'll be putting my 48 volt batteries will stack right here. I'm really limited on space in this room, and I could even put batteries under there, but that'll come later. I've got a little space to play around with. Right now, this is just the right distance for me to still be able to get my hand into these panels and do work on them, and it still leaves me with enough room here to where I can take a panel off here and it's not going to interfere with that. So yeah, there's a lot of wiring left to do. There's my bus bar. There's going to be the disconnect for the solar panels. The two charge controllers, the servo. So all the Victron gear will be on this side, and all of the EG4 gear, when it arrives, will be on this side. So yeah, there we go. There we are. You've got an update on my home studio office / aquarium store / I don't know what this room has become. It just is what it is, and I wanted to share it with you. And all right. Now back to the story already in progress. So there you go. Now that video you're looking at spans from the beginning of December to today, which is the 29th when I'm filming this. So Friday night. Not like waiting to the last minute, Joe, to get things done, but this is part of the reason I'm pre-recording this video. I just don't have the time. I'm holding down a full-time job, that requires a lot of my time and a lot of planning and a lot of working with software and learning to know new pieces of software. It's a real pain. And on top of that, I've got the studio project that's going on. I'm trying to keep this place organized so I can still do projects. And I got now the fish going on and the solar and I don't believe in putting too many irons in the fire at one time. I like starting one thing and finishing. Yeah. This is, if there is any poster child for ADHD, it's me. And this channel is living proof of that because I just go off on these tangents. But there is a plan up here somewhere lost in this gray matter. There is a plan. I don't know what it is, but as soon as the brain tells the rest of the body what the plan is, we'll just go along with it like we usually do. But I'm glad y'all are coming along for the ride because it's been a lot of fun, And again, apologies for not doing this live, but I thought I could do better when I had time to think of what I wanted to say before I opened my mouth. Now, all the comments have been positive, so I don't want you to think for a minute I'm getting unkind comments or people complaining about the direction my channel is going. Those of you that have subscribed and come back week after week and video after video and watch it, I am truly thankful for. Don't think for a minute that I'm not, but I got to be a little selfish and honest here. I do this channel because I enjoy doing it. For me, it brings me, I like sharing what I do with other people, and for a while there I liked educating other people on what it was I do. And I've got a good group of friends out there on the interwebs, and y'all are part of that, and you come back week after week, and I want you to know I appreciate it. But I never did this channel to become famous or to become, anything other than what I am. And there is a little bit of a, if you ever come to the Discord chat, you'll see a side of Unky Joe. Maybe, you don't want to see. No, you'll get to see a little more down to earth Unky Joe. I mean, anytime anyone gets behind a camera, they got to put on a bit of a persona, don't they? And that's where Unky Joe comes from. Plus, I'm just a I'm a ham, okay? I've been a ham since I was a little bitty baby. But I enjoy what I do, and I want to share what I do with other people, and I get joy out of, sharing my milestones with other people. So, like I say, I haven't had any negative comments or feedback about sneaking aquariums into my videos, because it's what I love to do, and that's what this channel is all about, is the stuff that I love to do, and hopefully it'll inspire y'all to do what you love. I mean, life is too short to be upset about everything that's out of your power. I mean, this has been a voyage for me of these aquariums help calm my brain and keep me centered. Because life comes at you pretty fast, even at my advanced age, and it comes faster and faster every day. So I appreciate y'all sticking around and letting me babble on about my aquariums, and I'll try to be as forthright and forthcoming as I can in future videos. And when it's going to deal with aquariums, you're going to know it. I'll put it in the description or whatnot, and if you don't want to watch it, great. But there are some of those out there that I'm getting a lot of views from that side of the YouTube community now on my aquariums when I do it. So I enjoy sharing that with the community. Because I've got a standpoint from an older guy. I was working at a fish store when I was 13 years old. It doesn't make me an expert in aquariums by any means, but it's funny now. Here I am 40 some odd years later after working at an aquarium, and we've come around full circle, and now we're going back to the way it was when I was a kid. I'm talking about the way they filter aquariums and how they think they function, etc. And I've always been an advocate of live plants. I'm just like, the aquarium is supposed to be a living thing that you keep living creatures in. And I never thought it was right to have plastic plants in them. And it just didn't offer me a challenge. And I like a challenge. And these planted tanks have been a challenge, and they've been a lot of fun. Hell, look, it's still standing, Ma. So I don't know that the rack would pass the building codes. Probably not. I'm sure engineers would probably turn their noses up at it, but it's still standing. So, that is what it is. Now, in the next few days, we'll have a new video coming out on a day in the life of an IT guy, and it's about me building yet another server for work, and what exactly I built it for, and what operating system I went with. There's always the question of, what hypervisor is Unky Joe going to use? Well, I'm going to tell you in that video, and I'm going to tell you why I chose that direction. So more tech videos to come, and I got a couple more after that. I've got to do an upgrade on a system and change the hypervisor on there and Proxmox all the things. So that's a little hint. My continuing saga, I'll be keeping you posted on my solar system in my electrical room now and all that stuff, now that all these parts are starting to come together. And I've had to order parts from all over the United States to make all this come together. I did decide to go with number 2 aluminum service entrance cable. It's rated for 100 amps, and it's what the electric company uses to bring service into my 200 amp service, not number 2 wire. They use 4/0. 4/0 or 6, 4/0 or 6/0 for aluminum for 200 amp service. One of the two. I bought it from the electric company. So the service entrance cable is rated up to 200 amps and it's aluminum conductor. And my box is rated for aluminum conductors. Same way with this. If I were to try to do this 50-foot run of 100 amp cable with copper, it'd be well over $375. Folks, I can get 50 feet of aluminum wire for $120. I mean, I'm not rich, but I'm not stupid either. And aluminum service entrance cable has been used for years and years. And if it's you put it in properly and make sure you use the little goo they send you, you won't have any trouble with your connection. Now, I'm still going to wire the regular household outlets with copper, 12, 14 gauge, whatever. My house is wired. I've got a lot of 15 amp circuits because they save money on mobile homes. They only have to run number 14 instead of number 12 wire. But it does limit what you can do. But I've never really had a problem popping circuit breakers, even with space heaters, until my solar started being added to, my regular circuits. Because keep in mind, when these things don't have solar and they're charging the battery, they can charge these batteries at up to, well, this one can charge the batteries at up to 40 amps, 35 or 40 amps. And the Victron can charge the battery at up to 70 amps. That's a lot of current. And that'll trip a breaker if it's on a 15 amp circuit and you've got, another 100 amp appliance running. So, or 100 watt appliance, not 100 amp. So I've got to, one of the things I think I'm going to do is I'm just pretty much going to not use these circuits that are in the wall here in my studio anymore. And I'm going to run a run over on this side of the studio and a run on this side of the studio with conduit and boxes coming down from the ceiling. I'll do something with it, out of sight, out of mind, and have two dedicated 20 amp circuits for this studio, in addition to a 20 amp circuit for my HVAC, so that I can run that, all the aquariums, all the stuff in the studio, all the stuff in the server room, I can run that off of, the Victron, and then put the rest of the house on the EG4 unit when that comes in. That ought to be exciting. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that. Now, the other thing I did was I went ahead and bought I got a really good deal on a 48 volt battery, a rack mount 48 volt battery, with shipping to my house for $1,300. So yeah, I grabbed onto that with both hands. And you can plug this battery in. It has Bluetooth. It does not have a front display, or does it? I'd have to look. But you can also plug it into your Victron equipment or the EG4 inverter, and it can talk to the battery, and the battery can talk to the inverter, and all will be well in Oz when I go to hook all that up. So I went ahead and pulled this. Since I pulled the trigger on the EG4, got a good deal on that. I pulled the trigger on the battery as well. And I got to tell you, let me tell you my FedEx story, since it's semi live stream. So this battery weighed 120 pounds. It's not light, and I can't lift it by myself. My spouse and I had trouble lifting it together. I can lift about 50 pounds, 60 pounds is my limit right now. So if you weigh more than that, for God's sakes, don't jump into my arms. It's not going to end well. My point is that I can't carry a lot of weight, neither can my spouse. So this poor FedEx driver. So I get a notification from FedEx the day after Christmas, that my battery is going to be delivered. And that was unexpected. It really wasn't. I didn't expect it to get here until after the first of the year. So this company out of California, I'm not going to mention them right now because I haven't even opened the box on this battery. I paid full price for this battery. They haven't paid for my spiel on this battery or anything else. So from California, it got here the day after Christmas, which I thought was excellent. And FedEx, God love them, said they tried to deliver the package. So let me tell you the chain of events that happened. So I get a notification from FedEx that the package is going to be delivered much earlier than expected. And so, like a little boy at Christmas, and this is my second Christmas, mind you, because I had my Christmas the day before, is sitting here looking out his window, waiting for the FedEx guy to show up and looking at his surveillance cameras. And what do I see? At about 11:50 on the morning of the 26th, I see a FedEx vehicle, and I see it out parked on the street. It's parked there for a minute, then it's parked there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You get the idea. I got tired of waiting, so I came back inside the house. I didn't want to freak the driver out. Maybe he was lost. He didn't ask for help, so. And then as soon as I sit my happy ass down on my desk chair again, I see the FedEx pull into the driveway. Now, normally when FedEx pulls into my driveway, they honk to let me know they're here. But between Amazon, FedEx, and UPS, I don't think anybody can keep drivers. That might include Uber. I don't know. But I know FedEx, UPS, and Amazon, they're constantly changing delivery drivers around here. It didn't used to be that way. But, you know, these companies, anyway. So the FedEx parks in my driveway. So like any normal human, I go out on my porch and I stand there and stare at the FedEx truck. Because I see people or person moving around in the truck. I can hear packages being tossed and kicked around. Merry Christmas. Thanks, FedEx. Mine, I knew, was too big for them to do that too. So the only thing I figured is that my package was buried, because it was probably the first on the truck that morning, was buried under hundreds of other packages. And this driver had it was, the day after frickin' Christmas. Maybe he was a little hungover. I don't know. I wasn't at his party the night before. But all I can tell you is he was not happy. He didn't honk the horn. He didn't wave. He didn't come out of his vehicle, or she come out of the vehicle and try and say anything to me. And after about 5 minutes of that, after about 3 minutes of that, I was like, well, he'll tell me when he's ready, when he finds the package. I don't want to bother him. Came back in the house, sat down again. A minute after I sat down, I see the truck backing out of my driveway and leaving. I'm like, oh, okay, he left the package. So I go outside. No package. There's a note on my door. Sorry we missed you. What? Sorry you missed me. I was right here. I waved at you. You obviously missed me. Did Stevie Wonder try to deliver my package? Is that what happened? No offense, Stevie, but you're blind as a bat. You can't see shit. I don't want you to deliver my packages. You play me some great music, but don't deliver my packages. That's not what God put you on this earth for. Anyway, it just drove off. So I did what any normal person would do. I stomped my feet and, blew my top over a battery that I hadn't expected to be here till after the first year anyway. So anyway, long story short, too late, I know. I got FedEx on the phone, told them I wasn't happy. They don't care. What can they do? Right? So I don't try to berate these people too much. It's not anything the person on the phone can do. You're not going to get off the phone and go down to the loading dock and find the driver. He doesn't even work in the same city or country for all I know. So he took my wrath and took it well. And so the next day, because they claimed that was a second failed delivery attempt. And you get 3 and then they hold your package at the shipping facility or they send it back. So I called the manufacturer of the battery and told him, look, I'm having this trouble with FedEx. So I just want you to be aware. I'm going to be here again all day tomorrow. And if they try to deliver and claim they can't deliver, that's bullshit. And I've got the surveillance. I had that there surveillance video to back up my story. So they were like, well, thank you for letting us know. Yeah, we'll call FedEx and see what they say. And evidently they did, because the next day I had a new driver. It was a nice young lady. She's a big girl. She's my kind of girl. Big girl. And I went out there and met her when she drove up in the driveway. And, I could have taken that opportunity to berate her, but I don't know she was the driver the day before. I doubted it. Anyway, spoke with her. She was a lovely young lady. And it was obvious that she was not going to be able to get that off that. I don't care how strong a woman is. This girl was not going to get that 120-pound battery off that FedEx vehicle without some help. And boy, did she prove me wrong. She threw that thing up on her knees on one corner, got leverage on it, lifted it, and swung it around and had me grab the front end. And we walked it to the clear of her truck. And I just said, no, just set it here on the ground. I'll have my spouse. You don't have to carry it up into the house. The damn thing weighs a ton. And she said, they just gave me this route today, and so I'm sorry if I'm late. And I told her, no problem. Helped her and sent her on her way and wished her good fortune. And, that's about all you can do. You got to be decent to people, especially people making your food, delivering shit to you, and cleaning your house, or, unless that's your wife or your spouse. You got to treat people decent and with respect, which I think I do, but people also need to know that when you work and do a job, there's a certain level of performance that I expect. I don't know, having been an employer of people and having to hire and fire people, it's never easy, but I think we got a generation that's slowly coming around to the fact that, oh God, I got to work for a living. Welcome to 50 years of hell. And you can choose. You can have work be hell. Trust me, I've had some shit jobs in my 58 years on this planet. And my father suffered a hell of a lot worse than I did and didn't complain half as much as we do. Be thankful for what you have and, take joy in the fact that you're alive and you're breathing air and you have family or people around you that love you and you have food in your belly, because don't ever take that for granted, because, you could be setting yourself up for a very big disappointment. And just, try to be as prepared as you can. And you have a lot of fun with it, though. Be decent to one another. That's my message this year for every year. Just be decent to one another. Love one another, and don't try not to judge if you can. I know it's hard. And forgive. Put forgiveness in your heart. There's some things you can forgive and never forget. You know what I'm saying? But you need to put forgiveness in your heart, because God doesn't, or whatever your power is, doesn't want you carrying that negativity around in your life. So surround yourself with good people and positive influences, and enjoy your life while you got it. Anyway, I guess I better wrap it up, because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. So again, thanks for another great year on the YouTubes. I've had a really good year. I've met some really cool people over the past, especially 5 years, that have helped me with my Discord. Jamie, Captain Radar, Sakura, Andy from Nate, Tony from Quick Tech Solutions. Willie Howe has been a big help to this channel over the years. Sasha Lopez, he's generated generously to this channel over the years, and all these people make it possible and help mentor me. And I just want you to know how appreciative I am of all of you, and proud to call you my friends and have you in my life. So keep coming back to see me. Tell your friends about us if you think they might be interested. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. You keep doing what you're doing. You do you. Be happy in your life. Blessings to you and your family this holiday season, and let's go into 2024 with a positive attitude that we're gonna take things back and get this country headed in the right direction. Because I'm gonna be too old here pretty soon to help anymore in that area. So you youngsters, you better get it together while you can. That's all I got to say. So anyway, thanks again for coming to see us. Donate if you're so inclined. PayPal, Patreon, YouTube join function, or just become a YouTube premium member. We all get screwed that way together. Let's see. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that little notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back and see us again, and don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.